Hello and welcome back to another episode in the A.N.I series, where today we will be taking a look at the SH Figuarts Umamusume Special Week. Now, if you haven't seen and or heard of this character before, they are what I'd like to call the main face / icon of the actual series for Umamusume, being that they are one of the first characters you're introduced to in the mobile game, along with the icon for the app, and being the first main protagonist in the first season of the Umamusume anime. Now, as of the time of this recording, there are currently 3 seasons, 2 OVAs, and a movie currently out. Though I don't think there's any easy way of watching the movie here in the US, but I think the rest are on Crunchyroll. So, yeah. I know me personally, I've gone through slightly more than half of the first season, which again, I've heard is the weakest of the 3 seasons, but at the moment, it's been pretty good. The cast has been enjoyable. The slice of life nature to the show has been very peaceful, to say the least, along with the added competitive nature to the racing itself. So, yeah, with that out of the way, let's actually take a look at the figure itself. And as you can see here, the overall figure, oh my, if she doesn't fall, the overall sculpt work and proportions to the figure are done fairly nicely, as with most SH Figuarts. From what I know, I believe this is taking more from the game model itself than the actual animation. But either way, both are, for the most part, fairly consistent to each other, with only slight differences to proportions and, I'd say, art style. But again, not too much that you'd probably know or probably see too much of the difference. So with that out of the way, let's just move right on to articulation, as that, for me, is the most interesting part with these figures. Mostly to see how well certain ones do compared to others, especially in this line. I found that this Umamusume line to be not inconsistent, but I don't know, not I wouldn't say consistent either. Unique. Each one seems to do something unique, and from what I can see on the box here, this is the 3rd in the line. I don't actually know what the others were comparatively as to the release date or the design work, but let's actually take a look here at Special Week. So if I can just zoom on in, if we take a look at the head sculpt, the actual print work is done fairly nicely. Again, sculpt work is nice. Sometimes I think to myself, I am running out of adjectives to say the same thing. But as you can see, it's done fairly clean. I'm pretty sure the white band is a separate molded piece. The bow definitely is. And for the articulation, some figures tend to do the ears differently, but this seems to be similar in line to Rice Shower, in that these ears are on ball joints, which I don't know how well you can see that. But you do get, for the most part, pretty decent range. Not too much, but enough to where you can angle them. Though this one has a little bit more difficulty turning, as the little bow in front of it, it will hamper, my apologies, the actual turning feature. But it is still there. The joint is there, but you're not going to get as much. Now, for the actual head articulation, let me actually just pull off the face sculpt here, and we can get a good inner look at that joint. So if I just pop this off here, you can see it's using a ball joint at the top of the head, another ball joint right here on the neck peg, and then another ball joint connected to the torso. So with that, you do get fairly decent motion And if I pop the face back in, we'll show off this feature again with some of the accessories that are included. But, of course, you do get a head turn, which can go all around. You can tilt the head side to side. Let's only center this more. So we get about decent range. You can bring the head about that far down, though you are slightly flexing the bottom part of the neck there, so do keep that in mind. And you can bend the head about that far up. Nothing too crazy upwise, so I mean it is there and it is noticeable enough, but it's not too much. And of course, this is also on a this collar itself is on a floating piece, which I guess that is to help with any clearance problems you may have, which is nice. Moving on to the shoulders, they are on I believe it's a hinge with a peg in the torso and a peg into the arm, so that will allow for a 360 motion. You can raise the arms about that far out. Of course, you can bring the arms about that far down, though you are being hampered by the sculpt work of the sleeve there. You do get a bicep swivel, which you could also imitate the bicep swivel at this hinge in the shoulder, but I mean, there is one here too. I don't know how well you can see that, but it is turning. And you do get a... Oops. Let me just pop that back in. You do get a bend at the arm. That goes slightly more than 90, though nothing too crazy. And you do get a ball joint on a hinge for the hands. And they pop right off. But actually, let's take a closer look here at the actual hinge. And yeah, so that will move as much as that will allow, only being hampered by the cuff. And the actual sculpt work on the cuff is fairly nice, though there is a very slight mold line right there. Actually, yeah, is that mold line and paint line? I said mold line. Which, nothing too big. I don't think you'll notice that too much. But moving back onto the torso, and this middle section is also a separate floating piece. Okay, so articulation wise, there appears to be a ball joint at the upper torso, which will allow for side to side and a rotation, and actually moving it downwards. Let's see, without activating that bottom one. Get about that far down, though you do leave the back ever so slightly exposed. But I guess it's not too noticeable, and it's not really that bad. Moving it back, get to about that far, and I get that even more. Oh yeah, just about. Nothing too crazy again, but it's still there. For the lower torso, you do get another ball joint, which will move as a ball joint will. And of course, you can bring it side to side, much greater than the upper one. And you can bring that down about that far. And you can bring it back that far, though at that point you're colliding with the bow tie here at the back for waist. So you have that. For the tail, it is on a ball joint, similar to Rice Shower, though unlike Rice Shower, this tail doesn't seem to want to come off, and will rotate a full 360, and you can angle it, though it seems to want to revert back down. So yeah, I guess if you want to make that tighter, you could always thicken up the ball joint with some super glue. Though, I guess it really depends on the tolerances of your specific figure. Moving on to the waist here. Let's see here. The skirt is divided into two sections, that being the front and the back, and this will allow for the skirt to move up this far, and more so for the ease of access of moving the legs forward. So with the skirt in place, you can bring the leg up about that far, which is pretty good considering, again, you have the molded skirt, but the mold work continues along nicely to where you don't actually see the breakage, which I kind of find is always a hit and miss with these types of designs. I know for Rice Shower it was more difficult due to the way it was molded, so for here it seems more well designed, I'd say. But with that out of the way, you can bring the leg about this far back before you start colliding with the can I zoom out? Oh yeah, there we go. I can zoom out there. You can bring it out about that far back before you're pushing against the back of the skirt here. And for a leg spread, you get about that far out before again being pushed back by the actual molding of the skirt. And actually I think this is just as far as the ball joints will allow. So you have that. Not quite a full splits, but theoretically it might be there with the engineering that it does have. It's hard to tell. It really is hard to tell with the skirt. But I believe there's also another ball joint here at the waist, and that will allow you to move the entirety of the lower waist here, which will be pretty dynamic, because that means you can get the actual figure to bend very decently. With all three ball joints, I'd say that's pretty good. I think this will allow you for most posings that you want to get, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Moving on to the leg, you do get a thigh swivel of sorts. I think it's more so the turning of the ball joint in the waist, so it's not a actual cut there, but you can mimic it. Going for the bend at the knee, just as a side thing, I don't know how well you can see here, but for some reason the way that I think it's either the tolerances of the actual knee or the mold work, but it almost goes off on a slight angle. It's hard to tell, but it goes on an angle. Same with this other leg too a little bit. So they're not perfectly straight, though I don't know if that's because it's a misalignment in the joint, which you can turn, as you can see here. There is a specific cut for the joint here, and as you can see, you can turn it. So I don't know if that's just an issue with that, but moving on, you can bend the knee, well, slightly more than 90. Not too much, about like 95 at most. So you do get that, and you can technically continue the joint in the opposite direction and simulate a slightly broken leg, which I don't know why you want to do that, but I mean, that's the option. And looking at the foot here of the shoe, of course, you do get a very decent sculpt work for the shoe with the horseshoe iron. I don't words. What are words? Either way, it is sculpted nicely, and her shoes are two different colors, which I don't know, that's unique. I've seen that on some other characters, so I don't know if there's a meaning to it, but it's nice. I do like the asymmetry in it. But moving on to the actual joint, you get a hinge that will allow it to move that far up, about that far down, no ankle rockers, but you could technically turn that joint in there and, imitate one. And like most SH Figuarts, you do get a toe hinge, which, I mean, it works. It looks kind of weird, to be sure, but it works, so it is there. And overall, I'd say that, for the most part, Special Week is fairly well articulated. Definitely one of the easier figures to pose with, as her overall design isn't really that complicated, especially compared to something like Satono Diamond, or I'd say Rice Shower has also pretty complicated design with what she has to work with. It definitely doesn't make it easy for her to stand, that is. But yeah, overall, I think sculpt work is nice. Paints look pretty good. So with that out of the way, let's actually move on to the accessories. And like all of these Umamusume from SH Figuarts, you do get included a basic stand. Again, this one doesn't have the logo for the Umamusume on the actual display, the actual flat surface, the flat piece of plastic. I don't know if there's a specific name for it, but this part of the stand. So I'm really debating on if the Rice Shower that I purchased was a special variant. I don't know if that means there's a special variant for Special Week where their stand is different, but I don't know. That's something to look into. And of course, as with most, I already said that too. As with most SH Figuarts, you do get some selection of hand options here, which it's nice that it comes in this tray, similar to Figma, where you have that a tree that the hands peg into. This is just a little tray that they rest in, which I honestly want to see more from different companies to do. It makes my life easy, for sure, because I'm gonna lose these probably. I'm still gonna lose these somehow. But you do get a pointing finger, a pointing down finger, or a relaxed pointing finger. I don't know what kind of hand you'd call that. I'm assuming, well, this also looks like an open palm hand that she technically has right now. I believe this is more so for waving. It's either that or a specific character pose that I am unfamiliar with. And you do get two closed fists. Not like a punching fist, that is, but it's more like a closed fist for when they're posing. And it's hard to tell in this plastic tray, so let me actually take one of these out. And I just dropped all of them, for the most part. So let me just pick up the one that's still here. So you do get... Oh my. It's hard working with gloves. Oh, also, I got new gloves. Tell me in the comments below if you like these gloves better than the others. But yeah, as you can see, the sculpt work is done fairly clean. As with most SH Figuarts, nothing to complain here. And you can, of course, take the hand, pop it off. No real resistance. It's a very nice, a very clean pop off. So you don't have to worry about breaking it. Though, again, there's always that slight possibility. And now you just want to pop in the new hand. And it looks pretty good. So yeah, nothing to worry about there. And if I can get her to stand. She has been, Special Week has been easier to stand than most other Umamusume figures. So there's that. Moving on, we do have 4 different faceplates. So that being, if I can find them, a smiling face. And again, all these print work on the all of the print work on the faces are fairly clean. I don't think there's any one that looks bad in particular. You do get a like a worried face, again with the eyes closed. Like most other releases, what I believe is like a defeated pose. I still haven't looked into if there's a specific name for what kind of facial expression this is, so I'm just gonna stick with that for now. And last but not least, you do get a very determined, stoic face. Not quite angry. I believe it's a stoic, stern face. And it looks pretty good. And of course, the face included on the figure itself being a very happy, smiling, open mouth pose. So yeah, with that out of the way, let us move right on to size comparisons. So first up, we have, as always, the SH Figuarts Bunbunja Red, now with a jacket. And he is standing ever so slightly taller than Special Week. I should bring a ruler to actually see how high he stands compared to, but by using this, it's about a head taller, I'd say. And moving right on, we have the McFarlane Toys Superman from the Superman 2025 film. And again, as always, he is going to be way out of scale, as SH Figuarts stands at about 1/12, not 6 inch, but I think 1/12. I believe there's a slight difference to the actual sizes between those two fields. But again, way too tall, as always. Next up, we have the Maximum Series Spider-Man, who stands about, again, I think a head taller. Oh, maybe 2 heads taller. Yeah, I'd say about 2 heads taller than Special Week. So, taking them out. And next up, we have the Figma Majito McQueen, who also appears in the first season, though I think she becomes more relevant in season 2. And I don't know how well she wants to stand. Oh boy. There we go. I got that to work somehow. And again, Majito McQueen stands ever so slightly taller than Special Week. And finally, last but definitely not least, everyone's favorite, the SH Figuarts Rice Shower. And this is probably one of the only characters that Special Week is going to be slightly taller than. If I could get Special Week to stand. I mean, not Special Week, Rice Shower. There we go. Actually, wait a minute. With her ears, does she stand ever so slightly taller? Let's see how well I can angle this. Is this horizontal? Because if we're counting her ears, I think she might actually be the same height, which I find kind of funny. So with that being said, I think that about sums up everything I have to go through. Do I recommend this figure? I'd say yes. That's a very hesitant to yes. Again, she's not the most extraordinary character, though she definitely has the sculpt and accessories to validate her price point, which I'm pretty sure was somewhere around the $50 mark, $55 mark. I know she can go up to about 80 to 90. I mean, at that point, I'd still say she's decent enough, though, again, if you have any other characters that you were looking after, I'd say probably go for one of those first. But I mean, if you want just like an introductory character, I'd say Special Week is pretty good. She has the articulation for sure. It's just a matter of how well you yourself can pose her. And I can just pop that off by accident. Her tolerances are fine enough, though I seem to always have a problem where these figures are ever so slightly loose in the areas I wish they weren't. But I mean, the quality of the sculpt work and the paint definitely helps this figure stand slightly above the rest, especially compared to some home releases, this being an import, of course. And I think with that being said, I think that's about the best pose I can do at the moment. So yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, I think I would recommend it. I'm very hesitant to recommend. If you'd like to see more content, check out the channel HexHap, where me and my friends paint and build Warhammer miniatures. If you'd like to see some cool gaming clips, highly recommend Commissar Yoraki's channel. If you'd like to see me cover any action figure in specific, oh my, please comment down below, or comment below anything that you'd like to comment. Do you have this figure, or are you thinking I'm picking this figure up? I know I'm pretty much really, I'm too deep in now, so I'm probably going to try and collect the rest. Mostly due to the need to complete a collection. So, yeah, I guess I'm in this rabbit hole for sure. So yeah, with that being said, actually, you know what? I didn't even show if she could stand with the stand. I should probably do that. Yeah, the stand does what the stand does. So yeah, I think with that, comment, like, subscribe, or do whatever. Just do whatever you want at this point. I've been Hano in the Red. Hoping to see you in the next one. Peace.